Good morning. This is Rich Nelson with Allendale with a special update here for these morning calls here, June 16th of 2016. Now, as far as the overall tone here for today on grains, it will be lower. Outside market influence, well, we've got the U.S. dollar index trading up 55 points. Crude oil trading down 90 cents here. This is now 5 days away from the peak. For crude oil, current trade right now 47.11. This is getting off those previous highs from 5 days ago of 51.67. So we are putting some distance away from ourselves from those previous highs. Now, as far as news on the economic side, well, a little quieter here than yesterday. Pretty much the FOMC meeting from the Federal Reserve did wrap up. No change in interest rate policy. That pretty much was expected. Don't have any brand new announcements as far as discussions from their comments at all. Main point here is we're now moving away from the economic side here, aside from the Brexit vote, which will be on the 23rd of next week. And now we're focusing pretty much on the grain markets, primarily on the U.S. side of things here. And by that, I mean U.S. weather. Now, speaking of that weather, well, things have changed a little bit here. USDA, or I should say NOAA, has been trying to be consistent with their short-term forecast. The 6-10-day numbers here, those are actually turned a little bearish here in the most recent update here last night. That one is showing currently, looks like actually no problem with temperatures at all. A little surprise there, and actually normal to above normal moisture seen on that 6-10-day. So that's a bearish short-term forecast. NOAA also gave us something very special here today, the monthly update to their long-term outlooks. Now, for the month of July, they say above normal temps for the entire U.S. and normal precip. The trade will be taking this news as a little bearish. Though above normal temps does impact us here in pollination negatively, the bottom line here is it does not have any of that drought discussion here that a lot of these private guys are still trying to suggest. So for the July forecast, it's bearish. For the July through September periods, and to keep in mind, they do a 3-month rolling average, pretty much for every 3-month period for the next 12 months. This July through September outlook suggests above normal temps and normal to above normal moisture. So this is also bearish, and it kind of flies right in the face of all this very hyped up bullish talk we've been hearing from the private guys. No discussion yet on whether private guys are going to consider any long-term changes. So as far as grains on corn, we're down 1 to 2. Soybeans, we're down about 5 to 9 off the start, but heck, right now we're trading down 15 or so. Looks like wheat last trade is going to be up 1 cent. As far as news on grains, we had weekly export sales this morning. 1.1 million tons of corn sales between old and new crop. That was considered maybe neutral, slightly disappointing. The trade was expecting 1.1 to 1.6, so on the very low end of the expected range. Wheat sales, or say soybean sales, 1.6 million tons. That was higher than the trade estimates of 1.0 to 1.4. So good soybean numbers there. Over on the wheat side, 763, and that's 763,000 metric tons. That was, in fact, a bit better than trade's expectation of 250 to 450. So good wheat sales at pretty much the start of our brand new year as far as wheat sales. So good there, good news there. Let's see here. Yesterday afternoon, the Rosario Grains Exchange down in Argentina, they suggested corn production at 27 million tons, right at USDA, so that's neutral. They suggested 55.3 for a soybean production number. That was actually lower than USDA's most recent number, 56.5. So maybe a little bullish influence from that standpoint. Also yesterday afternoon, NOPA crush. That came out bullish, and we got some caveats, though. So 152.8 million bushels crushed in the month of May. That was actually better than any previous May, so a brand new record. That's not a record for all months, just for May by itself. So that was good news. However, I wonder if we're going to meet USDA's pace still. That good May number was 3% over last year. To beat USDA's hopes, you've got to have a 4.4% increase now for June, July, August. And as of this point here with lower crush margins than the month of May, I wonder if we're going to hit USDA's very aggressive hopes on domestic crush. As far as other news here, overnight sales, separate from the weekly export sales report, South Korea, we got 3 separate buys, 55,000 tons, 61,000 tons, and 130,000 tons. 3 separate sales from separate South Korean buyers. Also of interest, India is currently seeking about 50,000 tons of corn. That is not going to impact the price issue at all here. So bottom line as far as grains, we've got weather changing a little bit here. Market will take a turn for the lower here today. The trade's going to wonder, though, at some point will we have a good rebound if we have this argument for next week's weather between the USDA and the private guys. Over on livestock, looks like cattle will be kind of mixed here today. Cash trades, of course, range anywhere from 122 and a quarter to 124 yesterday. In Colorado, 2 days ago, we had 125. We still have our heat lined up here for Amarillo, Texas, and pretty much all of the plains. Amarillo is going to see 101 here on Friday, and then again on next week of Thursday, Friday, 102. So very intense heat could cause some issues regarding weights as well here. Wholesale beef yesterday was down on choice 192, up on select of 19 cents. Weekly beef export sales here this morning, 15,149 metric tons. That was a bit more than last year's 8174 for the same period. And that last year weekly sale was actually kind of an odd dip compared with most of the sales in the previous time frame. Pork export sales looks like 13,269, and that was there was no big China numbers included there, so that kind of takes a lot of the excitement off the trade's hopes here. And in fact, this 13,000 number quite a bit lower than last year's pork sale for this week of 22,609. So dramatically lower there. It does take away a lot of the trade's hopes regarding this Chinese pork buying story here. We expect a trade here today to be kind of mixed for the most part. As far as cash hogs, 54 cents higher on the Iowa-Minnesota trade yesterday. Cash pork itself was down about 43. We still have about one more week before we even hit the quote-unquote seasonal peak on cash hogs here for the year. So action as far as grains, like I said, they're going to be lower. Let's see how low we can go here today, and if we can rebound by the close as far as livestock mixed. If you have any question about markets or markets in general, how to market in this environment, feel free to give Allendale a call, 1-800-262-7538.